What is up, guys? Sweshi here. Welcome to the channel. In this video, we'll be talking about Microsoft's launch strategy for the Series S and the Series X, and my overall thoughts about it. Like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you find this content, and of course, you can definitely leave a comment to give your opinion. Tell me what you think. So first up, we gotta give Microsoft some props here, guys. They've been quite transparent about everything that they are gonna do with the Xbox Series X and the Xbox Series S. I mean, they've not hidden behind anything really. From the way cross-gen titles are supposed to work, Microsoft has been honest in saying some games are going to support Xbox One, games like Halo Infinite. And we saw quite some media outrage. In fact, some people even at IGN, like Ryan McCaffrey, publicly tweeted out saying that even though it looks like it's good in theory, in practice it's actually holding back next generation games, and we're coming to see that actually Sony is also going to follow that approach. But business wise, of course, it makes sense. But I'm just happy that Microsoft came out straight to say that that's what they were gonna do without misleading us about the Series X and Series S exclusivity. So they've had very clear messaging. At least they've learned quite a lot since May, right? But I think Microsoft is positioned to do better this generation because of the way they're handling this launch, right? So firstly, multiple payment options, right? Being able to have the all access program in 12 markets is a big deal. It's a big deal. I think this all access plan is perhaps going to be the biggest factor, I think, in the long run when we look at the success of the Series X and the Series S when looking at their launch. Because for $25, getting the Series S with Game Pass added, Game Pass Ultimate, meaning you've subscribed to cloud streaming as well, or for $35 being able to get the Xbox Series X with Game Pass on a monthly plan, that's something, right? This normally happens with gadgets other than consoles. Phones very much have yearly or 2-year plans, and it's good seeing that Microsoft is taking this approach. It's actually going to allow even people who are hardcore Sony PlayStation owners to have the possibility of getting into next generation, because the commitment is so low, right? $35 or $25 per month. That commitment is it's low. It's difficult when we think about it to say, I'm going to try the new Xbox console, shifting from PlayStation, and I'm going to invest a full $500 or a full $300. With this, I can get into it with $25 or with $35 per month without any other down payment, right? So that's definitely a big deal. I think it's going to allow a lot of people to jump into it. I've seen even like on Next Gen Console Watch on IGN, Jonathan Dornbush, the one who hosts the PlayStation podcast, mentioned that after seeing the Xbox All Access plan, that he's definitely going to get the Series X this year instead of getting it next year, because most people are saying because they're not good enough exclusives at launch, so they'll probably get the Series X next year and then get their PlayStation 5s this year. Being able to have all access will basically allow people to buy both consoles, especially the people who want to try the Xbox ecosystem but are loyal to PlayStation. So all access is one of the big pillars of this launch cycle, which I think will be a success. Next thing is Microsoft hitting both the power narrative and the price narrative, right, is also a big deal. In 2013, the console was more expensive and it cost more, right? And Phil Spencer was clear at XO19 that he would would not lose to Sony at power or at price. And he's basically done that. If the PlayStation 5 costs $500, one with a weaker GPU, without all RDNA 2 features confirmed, and then it's costing the same as the Series X. I think that's a pretty good deal. Now, whether we'll see the differences in graphics this time around or in the years to come is up for debate. I think we will, at least in a few sections, especially in ray tracing. But overall, I think that being able to win the power narrative while offering the same price for the disc version of the PlayStation 5 at $500 is a big deal, right? Then being able to have the Series S, a 1440p machine for $300 is a game changer. I think this might kind of change the way consoles are going to be being deployed going forward. I know there's some people who are saying negative stuff about the Series S, but I'm working on a video. You'll probably see the link when that video is up. Subscribe to the channel for that, and I will talk about everything to dismantle the narrative that 1440p gaming isn't possible with the Series S. I'll just explain basically everything that I've been able to understand about the system. But for 1440p, half of 4K, right, Ultra HD, right, that's definitely something that is valuable. And if at all it's true that it will manage 1440p or even 1080p, to be honest, even 1080p for $300, I wouldn't complain if it's a 1080p machine, right? So being able to hit that lower price point is important, especially for the holiday, for the Christmas season. And in my view, the Series S should be stocked. They need as many Series S consoles as possible in all the stores worldwide. Basically, that console is perhaps, in my opinion, going to be the best selling next generation console from Microsoft, right? I think it will sell the Series X. In my view, I'm actually considering getting a Series S instead of a Series X, just because of that value proposition. Is 4K worth $200? I don't know. In my mind, I don't think it is. I need to understand it a little bit further. I'll wait a few months after the two consoles launch before making a purchase, but after seeing the analysis and comparisons in games, then I'll make my final decision. Then, of course, Microsoft is launching in a whole lot more markets this time around. The Series X and the Series S will launch in 37 markets worldwide, 37 countries. That's a big difference from the Xbox One launch. The Xbox One launch was basically in 12 markets, 12 or 13 markets if I remember correctly. They launched in 12 markets, and then within the first and second year, they were basically launching in the other countries. But that kind of changes the way the momentum goes, because the console numbers, the sales numbers, affect the way people perceive the console. So if it launches in more markets, we'll be able to sell a whole lot more at the front, at the outset. And so the narrative about the Xbox selling well will be out there with the media, and it will also influence people into buying it, because it's basically social proof that people want the console. But by launching in 12 markets in the Xbox One, they severely disadvantaged themselves. It made it difficult for the narrative in sales to go Microsoft's way. So I think it's good, it's excellent that they have prioritized a number of launch markets from day one, so that everyone feels like, yeah, they are important, right? I'm glad we'll have the Series S and the Series X launching in South Africa on day one. So that's a big deal for me down here. So for those reasons, I think Microsoft's launch this time around is going to be successful. They've not had anything controversial, right? Like the way 2013 had DRM policies, the way they had always online, no sharing games, stuff like that. all of that, there's no there's no controversy this time around. I'm happy about that. I'm happy about all access, right? And perhaps the final one is xCloud. xCloud launched on the 15th of September, which is this month if you're watching this video now. And xCloud might be a big deal, especially towards the end of the generation, in my opinion. At the time we'll be having refreshed versions of these consoles. I think this is basically going into the low barrier of entry, okay? By offering Xbox All Access and then also offering xCloud, you can get into gaming on Xbox for very, very little money, right? For $15, I can be playing Xbox games. If I am in a supported region where xCloud works fine, I can play those games for $15 a month without owning a console. So I do think that Xbox Live accounts, active Xbox Live accounts, are going to be Microsoft's biggest metric for success rather than the console sales themselves. The sales will matter, but especially with all access, you know, we can't actually tell how they're going to add everything up, right? How many people have committed to all access, and then how many people have actually bought the console, and then how many people are actually just subscribing for xCloud and they're not having the console physically, right? In my opinion, I would rather just add the $10 on that $15 xCloud and get a Series S, and then I could still play xCloud and then have the console physically as well. So they've basically managed to think about the low barrier of entry that is needed for people who are especially skeptical of the Xbox platform. All access makes it cheap for anyone to jump into this if you're in a supported market, and then having xCloud means that you can try the Xbox games, right? The ones people will make fun of or say that they're not that interesting, that Flight Simulator, despite it being awarded that much, doesn't really matter because it's a simulation game. People can try out those games despite the fake narratives out there for very little money, and for me, that's what's the biggest deal in this upcoming generation. People can jump into the Microsoft ecosystem for very little money. That's a big deal, and I think that's going to change the way the generation goes in terms of success. So that's the video, guys. That's why I think Microsoft will stick the launch. I think the first year will be very successful. The first and second year for Microsoft will be very successful, much more than the Xbox One generation ever was. So like the video, leave your opinions in the comments below. I'll interact with you there. Thanks for watching. I highly appreciate it. Swishy out.